Namaskar, I'm Ashok Vyas, and today I have the great pleasure of welcoming two luminaries, I would say, from our community, Surendra Kaulji and Rakesh Kaulji. Surendra ji, co-founder of Global Kashmir Pandit Diaspora, and then Rakesh Kaulji is vice chairman of Indo-American Arts Council, and also he's an accomplished author, and his books have also revolved around Kashmir. So there is a lot that we will gain from the presence of both of them. So once again, I thank you for taking your time out, and it's an important day for those who love India and those who take interest in India. And what was happening after the abrogation of 370 has resulted into a lot of plus for the valley as well as for the whole India. And there were over 23 petitions filed against the action of government of India, and that finally Supreme Court verdict has come out today. Where we are now, why we are where we are in the context of the valley, has its roots in the way the states were combined with the Bharat and all that. So I will request Surendra ji to open up and give some basic as to first we start from where we are right now. When you heard about this verdict, and I was discussing with few people before this verdict came, and many people were had a little bit of apprehension, and so finally it's a sense of relief also, as well as a sense of victory uh, on a different note. So for you, how was it, Surendra, when you heard about it?
First of all, thank you, Ashok ji, for having me in your program, and we immensely thank you for creating awareness about Kashmir-related things. And this thing, abrogation Article 370 and the verdict, being one of the very important national historic moment for the Indians. Leaving aside Kashmiris, I'm using word Indians.
Absolutely, absolutely.
So, by the way, small correction. Actually, Rakesh ji is also the co-founder of Global Kashmiri Pandit Diaspora. And August 2019, when this decision was made by the current establishment, it was a momentous occasion. And at that time, Global Kashmiri Pandit Diaspora equated this decision of abrogation of Article 370 equivalent to independence of India. So that was the level of how the community received this, and that too in our lifetime. Now, we were expecting that it will follow a legal, turbulent things, and that is what happened. That there were petitioners, and uh, we were aware that it is legally what our government has done, the Modi government, Amit Shah ji has done. It is absolutely the right thing to do, and it meets legal compliance. Even though I am not a lawyer, I don't have much, but we knew it because the whole foundation of Article 370 was based on disinformation, complete disinformation, and how this blackmailing and how this power shift and friendship came into this play. We knew about it. So we were pretty sure that this will happen. But in the context of Indian political system and rumor mongering, we were apprehensive that maybe there might be some glitches that may come into its effect. But today, it is a historic moment again. It has been validated, and it is again an occasion where we go back to 2090's decision as equivalent to independence of India. I mean, say the analogy, the amount of happiness, the amount of things that this decision gives us is very paramount. And we watched it live, all the recordings, even though it was nighttime for us, we watched it live. And the way the five honorable judges have dissected all the contentious issues on which the petitioners have filed this verdict, we feel that the Indians were subjugated for last 70 years under this sort of a thing that, oh, Article 370 is permanent, nothing can stop it. And the way how the political parties played it, how the political elite played it, but now everything has gotten exposed. So that is my take on this, Ashok.
Absolutely. So I appreciate that, Surendra, and so Rakesh, it was 17th October 1949 when the Article 370 was introduced as an afterthought that let's move on, and then it's a temporary provision and then it'll be reviewed, etc. But keeping this Article 370 as a basis, the Constitutional Assembly in 1957 in Valley, it sort of created a lot of rights for it, which were making on that special privilege to something else, which was keeping it exclusive. So there is much more in that context, and kindly share with us how significant it was in the context of the way things moved, the abrogation of Article 370, Rakesh.
Yeah, first, thank you, Ashokji, for having me and Surendraji on the program. I completely concur with the points that Surendraji has made, and I will expand on them and address your questions. So, Article 370 was an article that was created that reflected the big heart of India, that it was willing to show the flexibility on a temporary basis to absorb and accommodate. Uh, and advantage was taken of the big heart of India, and Article 370 was created into a Frankenstein monster. And the Kashmiri Pandits, who were the frontline warriors, I have to honor uh, Mohan Kishan Tengji. He was the first person in 1990 to put a whole book about this monster and say, no, this is wrong. And since then, the Kashmiri Pandit community has been at the forefront of educating and fighting to educate the rest of India on what this travesty was. And I agree with Srindarji. We have to give hats off credit to Prime Minister Modi's G's uh, surgical strike. I mean, this is an internal surgical strike. Now, what was this internal surgical strike aimed at, and what are the implications? We have to study very carefully how the honorable judges went about dismissing this whole fake narrative that Surendraji talks about. The first is the issue that this whole argument that there were four key arguments that number one, that you referred to the constitution of J&K and the will of the so-called people of J&K, and the court brilliantly has laid out the very elegant assertion that the sovereignty of India rests with the people of India. This is a very strong message to all other parts of India where they are trying to create their own mini Kashmir, where people are arguing, that look, this we are different, our language is different. No, no, no. When it comes to sovereignty, it rests with the people of India, not any small cabal. That's number one. The second point that is very important is that there were arguments made that were around this idea of the presidential power. And, does the presidential power have to get approval from the J&K Constitution? And the court completely destroyed that argument. Basically, now going forward, it is now completely understood that the President of India's powers, nobody has veto rights. Nobody can curtail the President of India. The President of India, representing the legislation of India, is the supreme authority. And so that is a strong message forever, not just for Article 370. And the third, simple English. What is it about the word temporary that is so hard to understand? Temporary. And the courts have addressed that very simply and nicely. And the fourth, And I think this is once again uh, clap, clap, clap for Modi ji, Amit Shah ji. The courts have completely endorsed the presidential order that Surendra ji talked about, revoking Article 370. And so what it shows is that now the government of India, when it comes to execution, they dot their I's, they cross their T's, and so when their order was examined by the finest legal minds in the land, then it was found valid and it was stress test. So I think this speaks well for our executional machinery. I'm going to end with back to the big heart of India, because at the end of the day, India is not just about the finest minds, because India does have the finest minds that it needs, who, when there is a Mahabharata type situation, will come. They will rise to the occasion, and everybody rose to the occasion. But I want to come back to the big heart of India. And the big heart of India is in the recommendation of Sanjay Kishan Kaul, where he said a Truth and Reconciliation Commission should be set up in Kashmir. We need to understand. Look, we set up a commission after the China-India war, right? Well, there was an internal war going on in Kashmir. The biggest victims of genocide were the Kashmiri Pandits. This internal war needs a commission, no different than the Brooke Henderson report or any commission that Indian government would do for if there was a problem, you know. So Sanjay Kishan Kaulji has really defined uh, as a Supreme Court judge, not just the technicality of Indian law or Indian constitution, but the spirit and heart of the Indian constitution when making his recommendation. And so I salute all India. I think as Indians, we can be very, very proud. You couldn't have asked for a finer judgment. And you know, now there's just one open piece of business. There are all these uh, people from this who are all J&K people who are sitting in subjugated territory. We have to one day bring them back and make them part of us. Thank you. That's my quick opening remarks.
Wonderful. So, Rakesh, moving with where you have touched the reference of Truth and Reconciliation Commission, and I believe Surendra ji, earlier when petitions were filed to give justice to Kashmiri Pandits, one Supreme Court said that this has been such an old event that we may not have enough evidence. So I think now this is the other side. The things have turned for better in the context of this Truth and Reconciliation Commission also. But as we were looking at Article 370 and then this 35A also, which was introduced in 1954, and overall what way government of India was functioning, continuously providing resources and funds for the valley, but sort of keeping the whole rest of the India as a second grade, on a second sort of level. And at the same time, the issue that you helped in bringing to the fore, and many Indians came to know what happened in the valley through the Kashmiri Files film. So the way things have moved after the film made people aware about what was happening. If I may add, this is just a hypothesis that the way masses think and the way the political will is, it also reflects in the way justice system moves. Do you see there is a correlation between these two? And so that way I think what you did also have helped in bringing where we are today. Talk to us, as earlier Rakesh was mentioning about people who contributed a lot, and until, and again I would repeat the way this was unfolded in a very systematic manner with different events on 5th August 2019. What we saw was remarkable. Many people felt that they won't see this happen in their lifetime. So, talk to me about who you would like to give credit for where we are.
Well, Ashokji, let's put things into perspective. Let us talk about the era before the Kashmir files. our community had filed multiple petitions, and some of them at the Supreme Court of India, and many of them in the High Courts of J&K, and nothing happened. And what happened actually, on the contrary, that as you rightly said, that this is time bar. This has happened so many years before, but they missed that opportunity. That 1984 Sikh riots you are entertaining and acknowledging,
Yeah.
but 1989, 1990 genocide, you want to say it is. See, this was reflecting very poorly on the judiciary. Now, that is why this statement by Honorable Justice Sanjay Kishan Kaul becomes so paramount. It's so sensitive for our community that for the first time, a sitting judge of the Supreme Court is talking directly about what happened, is talking directly about trauma, is talking directly about generational trauma and need for healing, which was snatched for all these 33, 34 years. There was no conversation about it. Nothing was being discussed. And all disinformation campaigns were being launched by the vested political parties from the valley, as if we never existed in the whole constitution, the country, and everything of India. So this was a very bad example that was being set, and we are very glad that this has been quoted, this has been acknowledged by the sitting judge. Of course, there has been many people within our community, the stalwarts, who have carried the struggle with grace. They have sacrificed their lives. We lost many of our think tanks in these 33 years who have contributed immensely. But I wish that they had to see this day, and then they could have left. Maybe in the heavens they will be blessing us. But there are many important stalwarts outside our community. Vivek Agnihotri ji, Pallavi Joshi ji, how they pulled it up. And even though the legal points are delinked from the emotions, and it is absolutely mathematics whether it falls within the helm of the legal scrutiny, but still, once there's an upsurge, once people get to know about what happened, it creates a difference. It melts the heart of the anybody, irrespective of caste, creed, religion, color, ethnicity, and everything. So that is the change we have seen. So outside the community, we have many people who have contributed. See, small things are being done. You, like Ashok ji and your channel, see how nicely you're contributing towards the support of our community. And I'm sure that you're not supporting us because we are Hindus. You're supporting us because for the cause. So because of what has happened. So similarly, there has been immense contributions coming from multiple quarters, and our multiple organizations within our community has also done a very wonderful role, and having this come to this extent. And so that
Yeah,
is what I would
yeah.
like.
Surendra, there is so much related to this verdict. The way political parties in India have reacted, the way other nations, including Pakistan, have reacted. Modi ji's tweet in Urdu probably also caused some flutters in Pakistan. But within the limited time that we have, Rakesh, I would like you to refer to this development in the context of what we want for Kashmiri Pandits in terms of their rehabilitation. Do you see this helping us in moving in that direction at a faster pace? Uh, as far as the future is concerned, how significant you see this verdict that we have, Rakesh?
Yeah, so in the interest of time, first, I do want to extend my heartfelt gratitude to all the Indian Army and Kashmir Police bravehearts who laid their life. At the end of the day, Kashmir is an integral part of India. They were the people who executed it through very difficult times when we nearly had lost Kashmir. So I want to record that. I also want to salute Governor Jagmohan. He was the one person who was steadfast in telling the truth. And as Surendra said, I'm sure he's watching us and he's feeling good that Satyamev Jayate, he has the victory of truth on his side. Uh, I also want to thank Member of Parliament Vivek Tankhaji. On the same day that the judges were opining on the removal of Article 370, he was talking in Parliament precisely about the point you made, the way forward for Kashmiri Pandits. And I think the way forward for Kashmiri Pandits has been laid out by Vivek Tankhaji. He has put a bill in front of the Rajya Sabha. The bill should be tabled by the government of India, and it's a genocide of Kashmiri Pandit bill, and it's very holistic. It's got every aspect to it. Look, there's just there's no upside to piecemealing, sweeping the Kashmiri Pandit issue under the rug, piecemealing it, understating it, ignoring it, or any of the tactics of the Indian state, irrespective of political party, irrespective of the government, has followed. It's also, there's no upside in it for the majority community of Kashmiri Pandits, Muslims. Everybody has to say the most heinous crime was committed against the Kashmiri Pandit community. It was genocide. There's a framework on how one goes about addressing it. And yes, you're right. The faster it is, the faster there'll be healing, the faster there'll be recovery. It's not commonly known that the genocide windfall profits that were taken by these militant jihadists, our estimate in the community is that it was $27 billion. That's a horrific profit that they got by killing us. 1,600 of our people were killed. We have submitted RTIs, Ashokji, on every single killing. And we haven't gotten satisfaction on a single one. It doesn't reflect well for India. If India is going to be a country ruled by its constitution, a country of law and order, and without law and order, Ashokji, let me submit, there can be no development. The foundation of development is law and order. The foundation of law and order is a civil society that embraces peace and rejects violence. And so it's so important that we move forward on addressing Kashmiri Pandit genocide. And that's my earnest plea to the powers, the government of India. Don't stop halfway. Go all the way. And then your legacy forever will shine.
So let me also bring to the reference that people who are opposing the abrogation of Article 370 down the line, they have also changed their stand, and they see the kind of changes which have happened in the valley. That includes having organized G20 meeting in the valley, and the inflow of tourists have increased tremendously. So there are things which have happened in the positive direction. But Surendra ji, I see that as a co-founder of Global Kashmiri Pandit, you are not happy with the way things have moved. You want to highlight what do you expect to happen? When I say you are not happy, meaning the pace at which the rehabilitation process for Kashmiri Pandits is being addressed by Modi government. And I once again want to appreciate the way they lived on the promises made before the election in 2019, the way this was made possible, and the recent statements of the Home Minister also in the Parliament. But moving forward again, bringing the whole focus towards Kashmiri Pandits, Surendraji.
Yeah, we have our hurt feelings with the current establishment. Not, so they have done a very good job in bringing peace or making attempt in the right direction. There is no doubt about it. They are doing good as regards whatever needs to be done in Kashmir, whatever needs to be done in Jammu, whatever needs to be done in India. But as regards our community is concerned, they maintained a continuous silence. This was surprising because every year after every elections, whenever the manifesto was coming in these 30 to 33 years, they used to prominently talk about our rehabilitation, our resettlement in Kashmir. And now, once Modi ji came into power, it has been 10 years. It's not just 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, even 5 years, even next tenure, there was a complete silence. Now, why do we get disturbed and disappointed about that? You know, we are already minuscule numbers from Indian perspective, but we are the stakeholders of Kashmir. But once the government does not engage with you, you are actually writing off the stakeholdership. You are removing the imprint of us being the stakeholdership. That is what was creating a problem.
So, if I
And
may
that
just,
we have to take it upon ourselves to keep on doing things to maintain the stakeholdership. So that was the part that we had hurt feelings from the current government. And we will continue to do that. We have been conveying this message to them through one channel or other channel. And similarly, today, Vivek Tankhaji was speaking as a Kashmiri Pandit. He was speaking as a representative of Kashmiri Pandit. He deviated from his party line. And he also conveyed to the government, why don't you engage with the community?
absolutely.
This
Sorry
is
to, sorry to interrupt. Just 30 more seconds I have. I want the concluding remarks from Rakesh ji in the same context. And I also remember you having sat down with foreign minister and probably the kind of feelings that you have about Modi government's approach overall as a as your experience of dealing with some of the ministers also. Where do you see the same issue, Rakesh ji, in future?
Look, what I would say is I think Prime Minister Modi and Foreign Minister Jaishankar ji, they have a very difficult situation that they were handed in Kashmir. So I commend them on the progress that has been made to date. They have made bold decisions. They have turned out to be right. Outcomes have been very beneficial. But at the end of the day, as Surendra ji said, uh, tourists have come, spent a lot of money. Majority community has benefited. Railway will go from Kanyakumari to the heart of Kashmir to Baramulla. Great. But our train, the Kashmiri Pandit train, hasn't moved for the last 33 years. And look, at the end of the day, sentiments cycle up and down. But I can tell you one thing, the Kashmiri Pandit is the representative, the civilizational link of Indian civilization. And if we want Shankaracharya Hill to stay as Shankaracharya Hill, you need Kashmiri Pandits there. Otherwise, 10 years from now, on the maps, it'll be Suleiman Hill. And if that's the Kashmir you want, fine. But if you want the Kashmir that's truly the crown of Indian civilization, you need to put Kashmiri Pandits back.
Yeah. And to support what you said, unfortunately, what we have seen images coming from Pakistan, where Sharda Peeth was also damaged, and they said they are going to make cafe for Pakistani soldiers. So we don't want those kind of things to happen. And I appreciate Surendra Kaul from his clinic joining us at my request. And Rakesh, I think we will leave it at that with once again a moment of joy and satisfaction and sense of victory with this Supreme Court's verdict, and many people are relieved, including me and all of us and many of our viewers. So, Surendraji, thanking you with lots of good wishes. Rakesh, thank you very much for joining, and thanks to all of you for being a part of
thank
this.
you, Ashok.
Our fight goes on, and we will travel on this journey for victory together. Thank you, Ashok.
Absolutely.